One of Hunter x Hunter's greatest strengths is its depiction of relationships. Relationships between fathers and sons, brothers and sisters, and of course relationships between friends. Although Gon is considered the protagonist of Hunter x Hunter, in reality it's the pair of Gon and Killua that are the stars of the show. There are major world-shifting events that take place in the story of Hunter x Hunter, and yet that's just a background to the smaller and more intimate story of the relationship between these two boys. They share an incredibly tight bond, and fans have been speculating on the true nature of their relationship for quite some time, with some believing that Killua has a one-sided romantic crush on Gon, or that Gon and Killua both like each other romantically. So the question is this: is the relationship between Gon and Killua a bromance or a romance? Gon and Killua first meet during the Hunter exam. Gon had been set up as a kind of child prodigy. He's the son of a famous hunter and is much more skilled than those around him despite his young age. Killua is the only other child at the Hunter exam, and he spots Gon and approaches him, asking how old he is, intrigued to find somebody else his age. And it turns out that Killua is just as, if not even more skilled than Gon. And the two build a mutual respect for one another as children trying to make it in this adult world. But at first their relationship doesn't come off as particularly special. It's uncertain if Killua is set up as a rival for Gon, or if he's set up to become Gon's friend. In the final part of the exam, Killua is paired to fight against his older brother, Irumi. This is the first time we see Killua become vulnerable and drop his cool guy facade. In this scene, we learn that Killua is a super sheltered kid with a suffocatingly overbearing family. He reveals to us that all he wants is to become friends with Gon. After admitting defeat to his brother, Killua decides to return to his family's mansion. When Gon hears about this, he's not convinced that Killua returned to his family of his own free will, so he, Kurapika, and Leorio go to the Zoruriku mansion to break Killua out. From this point onwards, Gon becomes Killua's hero and savior. It's thanks to Gon that Killua is free from his family, and Killua feels indebted to him. This is the point when their friendship becomes solidified. While other friends come and go, these two stick together. Gon is confident and expressive, and frequently tells Killua how much he cares about him. And Killua often responds by saying how embarrassing it is that Gon says this stuff out loud. But through Killua's inner monologue, we know that he actually feels just as strongly for Gon. One could say that the love and trust between these two goes beyond that of a standard friendship. But are there any clues that their relationship is at all romantic? There are a few scenes people point to when making a case for their relationship being romantic. As a disclaimer, I have not read the entire Hunter x Hunter manga series, but I have watched the anime, so some of the particular details here might be anime specific. There is a very famous Hunter x Hunter scene where Killua and Gon return after escaping the NGL, abandoning Kaito. Killua is unsure if he made the right decision and feels as though he left Kaito for dead. But Gon, being the ridiculous optimist that he is, says this.
カイトは生きてる。だから早く戻ろう。強くなって。カイトを助けに。
Gon.
お前は光だ。時々眩しすぎてまっすぐ見られないけど。それでもお前のそばにいていいかな。
The background music, the voice actress's performance, all of this adds to a very romantic feel when Killua says that Gon is light. Gon is the light in Killua's life. And this is a type of metaphor that is most often used in romantic situations. There's also a scene where Gon ends up going on a date with Pam, prompting Killua to ask,
デートとかしたことあんの？うん、あるよ。
This could be read as jealousy, although I think I would have read this scene as more awe or surprise that Gon is more experienced than him, considering this line.
こいつ大人だ。そう いう人のこと、マニアって言うんだって。
But then the anime throws in even more romantic references. During their fight against the Chimera Ants, Killua admits that he is ready to die with Gon. And here he uses the word shinju. Shinju is a suicide pact, where two people agree to commit suicide together. However, the main association with this word is a lover's suicide, or when a couple decide to commit suicide together. This is actually quite a common theme in a lot of old Japanese stories. And although shinju doesn't explicitly mean a couple's suicide, there is a strong association of this word being used when two people who are in a romantic relationship are committing suicide. Even without this connotation, this is quite an intense line. Killua cares so much for Gon that he is ready to give his life. There are other more subtle scenes sprinkled throughout the series, including Killua just staring at Gon and admiring him, as well as clues outside of the main story of the anime. These were super short clips that came after the end credits, and they were often littered with little Easter eggs, including this ayaigasa. This is a love umbrella. It's seen as a romantic gesture to share an umbrella with somebody, so this symbol of an umbrella with the names of two people is like writing your name in a heart with an arrow through it. So that's pretty romantic in terms of connotations. Like, I don't think that's a bromance thing to do. But then again, this is outside of the main story of the anime. Is it really canon? I don't know. But clearly the people who were in charge of making the anime were Kirugon fans. But okay, in the end, what are my thoughts? I think we can say with certainty that Killua has a crush on Gon. He's infatuated with this boy. He thinks Gon is the light. He's the most amazing person on earth and is willing to do anything for him. And I think this crush could be interpreted as a romantic crush, but it could totally be a platonic crush as well. And I'm actually okay with it being ambiguous, because maybe Killua still doesn't know how he feels about Gon. Remember, these two are only 12 years old. Killua's never had a romantic crush before. He's barely had any friends before. How is he expected to know what these intense feelings are? I think it's more realistic and relatable that Killua experiences this infatuation, and Killua, as well as the audience, aren't sure what this infatuation means. And I think Killua and Gon's relationship works, whether you interpret it as platonic or romantic. If you view this as platonic, it's a great role model for young straight boys to be expressive towards one another. Boys are often not as verbally or physically affectionate towards one another as girls are. Female friends will casually say I love you to each other, but boys rarely do. And I think it's great to see such an intimate and intense relationship between boys. And I do think that it can be slightly problematic to immediately label two close male friends as gay. It creates an impression that straight men should not be expressing such intense love for their platonic friends. But I do think there are enough clues here that it's totally valid to think that Killua has a romantic crush on Gon. And to see Killua as this confused gay preteen who for the first time is discovering his sexuality. And I'm super open to the idea of Killua in the future reuniting with Gon and admitting to him that he had a crush on him when he was younger. I think that'd be a realistic way to get Killua to come out as a potentially queer character. Gay or straight, I love these two's relationship and I really hope to see them again in the future. Thank you for watching. I would love to know your thoughts, so leave a comment down below.